Welcome TechBrothersIT. In this video, we are going to take a look how to create and update table statistics in a dedicated SQL pool. I was going to write the definition by myself or use some tools to get that definition, but then I was reading this document, and I think this is the best document to go over the definition from here and some examples. Why we use the statistics. The more dedicated SQL pool knows about your data, the faster it can execute the queries against it. After you load the data into the dedicated SQL pool, collecting statistics on your data is one of the most important things you can do to optimize your queries. The dedicated SQL pool queries optimizer is a cost-based optimizer. It compares the cost of various query plans and then chooses the plan with the lowest cost. In most cases, it chooses the plan that executes the fastest. For example, the optimizer selects a certain plan if it estimates that the date your query filters on return one row. If the optimizer estimates that the selected date returns a million rows, it chooses a different plan. So these from these lines we understand that let's say you have placed a lot of data and the dedicated SQL pool, and if the optimizer does not know about your data and you run that query, it's not going to be able to create the best plan for your query. And that's why it need to create we need to use those stats about your data, then it can create the best queries plans for the execution. Now here you can do auto create statistics enable, and by default it is disabled. You can go ahead and enable, and we will do that in our case as well. How to check that? We will go ahead and use this query to check that, and then we can enable by using this query. Once it is enabled, these statements trigger the automatic creation of statistics. Let's say you are running a select on a table, or insert and select, then create table as select, you have update delete, or you are using explain, then in that cases the automatic creation of stats will happen. Now there are a lot of things when we are reading here. The creation of stats is logged into this view here. So sys dm pdw exec request under different user context. So now when automatic stats are created, they take the form. So it's going to be something like this. So there will be name like this one. And we can take a look by saying dbcc show statistics table and the target. Now update stats. In this case, let's say you have the table and then you created the stats on it. Now you loaded a large amount of data. So in that case, it is a good idea to update stats. So let's say frequency of stats update. So daily after loading or transforming your data, that could be good practice to update your stats. Now sampling less than 1 billion rows. Use the default sampling 20%. When more than 1 billion rows, use sampling of 2%. So if you have let's say 1 billion rows, and if it is 20% is changed, then it's going to go ahead and update the stats. So whenever anything like around 20% of your data is changed, or a newly inserted data, then this will update stats will kick in. Now here is a lot of queries to do those kind of things, and one of the store procedure I was taking a look. You can see right here, these one are just telling you how to create the stats on different table and different columns. So you can see that on this one you are creating a stats on this table. Here is a stat name, and then you will say schema.table and then a column, and then here is an example. Now creating stats on single by each row. So let's say if you want to go for the full scan and then create the stats, so that's possible. And the default is 20%, sufficient for most of the situations. But if you would like to say like, hey, guess what, I want the full scan for my table and this column, and then I would like to update the stats or create the stats, that's possible. And it might help in your query plan as well. So it depends about how big is the data, how much time it will take, and all those kind of things. Now here is a, you can always go with this more sampling 50% and all that you can change. And then here you have create single column stats with all options. So you have right here, you can do that as well. So you have here is with the sampling 50%, you know, and then you have the range as well. You are defining for column where column is greater than this date and this date. So you can do also the filtering here. And but what I was interested, so create stats on all columns in a table, that's also possible. You will be saying create table, this table, you know, and then you have create stat on this column 1, column 2, column 3. So you're creating stats on all. So here is a very important part of it. So you can use this store procedure. It is going to go ahead and create the stats on every column in your SQL pool that does not already have the stats. So this store procedure, it will go through all your tables and then go and take a look on those stats. If you don't have stats, it's going to go ahead and create on all the columns in your all the tables. So let's go and start working on it, and I will show you a few of the example. So we know the definition, we need the stats. Without stats, our optimizer might not be able to get us the best query plans and then the best executions, and it can maybe take a whole lot of time. We have seen scenarios where we don't have the stats and the query was taken, let's say 10 minutes, and then after creating the stats, it was taken maybe 30 seconds or 10 seconds. Or we had the situations where our stats were outdated and then we did not update them, and the query was taken more and more time. And in those scenarios, we went back and update the stats, and after that queries were running just fine. So here I am connected with my one of the database called the TechDB. That's my dedicated pool right here, and you can see that I have a lot of tables actually. So you can see that I have all these sample tables here. And if I want to go ahead and check if the auto create stats is on my databases or not, so I can go ahead and simply execute this query, and I'm connected to the TechDB right now, and I can see that it is not enabled. Actually on master it is true. Okay, so also it is true actually on this one. So update stats is enabled, sorry. If it is not, then you can always go ahead and put your database name here, and then I think I was just doing some experiments, and that's why I created that. So you can go right here, change your database name here, and then simply execute this query. So alter database, and then it will do the same thing. So you can go ahead and run this again, and it is going to show you true. In my case, I already had it, so that's why it was showing me true. Okay, so create stats on a column, let's say default 20% sampling in and create statistics stat name, that's the name of that, on DBO sales factor table, and then customer ID. So if I will go ahead and execute, it's going to create this stat on my table. So if I will go to this table called fact sale, and here if I can go ahead and simply refresh, and here is my fact sale right there. So columns, and you can't really see that here, but I'm going to show you. If you are connected with the SQL Server Management Studio, and I have shown you how to make a connection to the dedicated pool. So that's very easy. Close this one, and I'm going to show you anyways real quick. So if you are in the portal, and here you are in the portal, and you will go to the Azure Synapse workspace, you click right there, and you will copy this dedicated endpoint. You will copy this, and this is your username. So you will open the SSMS SQL Server Management Studio or Azure Data Studio, and then you can connect, and you will go to connect here, and then you will provide this right here, and then your account and password, and that will make a connection, and you will see the database here. Now if I will see a table here in this this IDE has more advanced features, and if I go to this table sales fact CSV, and I will go to the statistics here, and then you will see the stats. So see right there, so that's what we have right there. So sale, customer ID, and there are some other created as well. So but in the Synapse Studio I don't have that option, so don't worry about that. If you are not seeing not a big deal. if I refresh, still I don't have it here. There is no tab I can see. So I will suggest use the, let me see if I, no, it's not even I am not seeing him in under anywhere. So it should be under the table, but it's not. This studio doesn't have that. So I will say use your SSMS SQL Server Management Studio or something like that. And we have created that. Now if you want to go with the, say we created with the that's the default 20%, right, sampling. So he creates stats, this stat full, and then we will say full scan. So if you want to full scan the whole this table for this column, then you can go ahead and create this stat as well. If you want to do 50%, you are also welcome, you can do that. So these are different stats you can create multi-column stat histogram only for first column and for like so if that's your queries are in need of those, then you can create on multiple column. Here is the filter stats, so only subset of rows, so that's also possible, where you say create stat and stat name on this table, and then a sale date, and where sale date is greater than equal to this date and less than equal to this date. So that's possible. So you can create all different stats on your table. Update stats, so that we can do on by using update stats. If we want to update the stats on the object, and we can simply do that. If I will take you back here and show you stats, statistics tab, you will see all those different stats I'm creating right there. Okay, so our optimizer, whenever we write the query, optimizer is going to take a look on different stats and then create the best plan and choose the best plan accordingly that runs faster for us. So that's a good thing. Now if you need to update the stats on a table, so you don't have to say the column then. So simply don't put the column in front of it, and just put the update stats and put the table, and it will run the update stats on the entire table. So in my case, remember that we have a lot of stats created here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and all those, so you can see right there, so auto stats are created like WAS, and then my own stats that I have created there with the name you have seen. You can also, you can't really actually, I was just thinking like if I can see the definition from here, but I can't really, and I cannot actually drop that as well. So auto stats I'm not able to drop in case which are automatically created, but the one I have created I can drop them. So now if you want to view the last update timestamp of the stats, that's you can take a look as well. So this tells you the hey, if your stats are outdated, in that case if the last update is very late and you feel like, hey man, I'm running this query, I'm using these columns, and then this is taken forever for my query, and I don't see any problem with the query, let me update the stats. So in this case we just updated now, but in case you see that like it is a very old data, you can always go ahead and refresh by running the update stats on specific column, so that's not a problem. Now show histogram and density, you can replace stats underscore customer ID with your actual stat name. So here we can do that if we have other stats and we want to see, and you can see right here, so you have all those informations available. Okay, now update stats, the tip, update statistics after loading or modifying large amount of data. That's very important, because if you're loading or making deletes, updates, inserts, whatever you're doing, then it's a good idea to run the update stats after that. Especially useful for date columns or fields often used in the joins or where clauses. So if you are making all those changes to the columns which are used in where clauses, or if they are using the joins, it's a great idea to run update stats after you make a lot of modification to the data and large number of data. Maybe around 20% of the data is changed or 15% is changed, so a good idea to run the update stats. Now one more thing I want to show you, this store procedure. If I will copy this store procedure right here, and now if I go right here and actually this studio is not going to show me, so I'm going to go right here. In this case if I will go to the products here and go to the stats here, I might see 1 or 2 stats here. Yeah, we have some, But if I want to create the statistics for all the column, then what I can do, I'm going to go ahead and put a new query here, and then paste this code that Microsoft has provided. This is going to go through all the tables and then create the stats. So if I will refresh here, let it come back, and now we can take a look on tables and see what stats it has created. So if we will go back here and look at the stats, so you will see it will show us some stats created. Okay, so you can use this store procedure, and you can schedule. So you see right there, cluster index and all those kind of things. So it has stats created, and right there what I would like to see and more, so right there, different stats. So it will see it create stats on the stats underscore table, and then this is the name and convention it is using. So wherever it is needed, it is going to go ahead and create the stats. So you can use this store procedure. Actually, guess what? I have created a store procedure, but I have not executed. That's why we were not seeing any stats starting with the name stats underscore. Wow. Okay, I was thinking maybe at the end it is creating the running the store procedure, but it is not. So I'm going to go ahead and execute. So once we create this store procedure, we then select this store procedure and execute. It says create type. That was not supplied. So let me see. Okay, so 1 is default, 2 is a full scan, and 3 is sample. So I'm going to go actually with the default. So remember that default is a 20% sampling. So if anything there, so we go ahead and do that. And which other part is missing? Correct function, expect parameter sample percentage, which was not provided. So create type 1 default. Okay, here's 20%. Now we execute. Now it is executing. Sorry, first it ran, when I ran this script, I was thinking like, oh, it's going to go ahead and create the store procedure, then execute at the end. And that's why I was trying to show you guys like, hey, here it is. And actually it was not here, because then I take a look on this script inside and say like, it should be starting with stats underscore. So now we should go back and take a look on different tables and see if this makes sense. And now you can see actually it has created all these stats here. So create statistic, stat and dim, and now you can see the name. So if I will go to the dim table here, dim customer, and now if I will go to the stats here, I'm gonna refresh, and then if I go here, now you should see that. See right there, now it is creating on each of the column, and that's what I was talking about. Sorry for confusion, because I was thinking like, oh, it's going to go ahead and run the store procedure after creating, so, but it is just not running. And you see that already it has more detail like sampling 20% and all that. It has so provide the input parameter according to your need, and then it is going to go ahead and go through all of the table, and then going to create the stats for each of your column. So I thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this video will help you to create the stats on your tables, and then also update them accordingly whenever you need it to make your queries run faster. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.